tiny liquor bottles. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my album channel. I'm stoked to have you guys here. In today's video, I'm actually going to be checking out Halsey's album Badlands. This is not the deluxe edition. This is just going to be the standard release. I may do the deluxe edition tracks at a later date, but I wanted to be able to make this video and get it out to you guys. I'm really excited because I haven't heard much of Halsey except for a lot of the radio singles, and when I looked at the track list of this as well as the deluxe, I don't know any of the songs, so I'm very interested to see what her sound was in 2015. Now, as you guys know, on my other channel, before I started doing album videos on this new channel, I checked out Room 93 over there, the EP, and I thought it was amazing. I loved it, and I definitely wanted to hear more. Now, I've heard a lot of her recent singles, and again, I've been a pretty big fan, so I'm really excited to actually hear the deep cuts and everything in an album from 2015. Of course, as you guys know, Manic is coming out, so I'm trying to do my best to get as many of her back catalog done, which I think is just this and one other album, so that I'm ready for Manic. So hopefully I'm able to do that, but I'm really excited to get into this video today. Of course, this is a new channel. If you guys want to subscribe and help support it, it would mean a lot to me. You guys can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm pretty active over there, sometimes maybe too active. But with all that out of the way, I am excited to give Halsey a fair shot at her, I guess this is her first full-length release. So this first song is called Castle. Hey! I love this almost EDM trap beat that she uses in the back of this song. It's such a good way to start off an album. Please drop. Good drop. Be a good drop. Yes! I will always be a sucker for a build-up like that, even as far as having that almost like gospel choir type sound before that drop. I just feel like those are the type of things that, as far as production goes, just kind of keeps you coming back for more. So I have to say, for the first track on her full length, I am pretty impressed, and this is back in 2015, so I definitely didn't know who Halsey was in 2015. And to hear just how great she was then makes so much sense as to why she's at where she's at now. One thing I really loved about this track is that, you know, it's an opener and it starts out a little bit slower, and then that beat comes in and it's almost just like this trap EDM sort of thing going on. She builds all this atmosphere into it, great drops, and her vocal delivery is amazing. And honestly, that's one of the things that I always tend to go for when I listen to Halsey, is like, she has so many different vocal styles that she's able to do, and to be able to hear what she was capable to do in this track, I'm excited to see if that sets a tone for the rest of this album. The next song we're going to listen to is called Hold Me Down. Ooh, good bass. I will say right away that I do enjoy, even though she's got a really big range, I really enjoy the little bit higher sound from her, because I feel like she has a very specific and unique voice, and so when she goes in those higher notes, I feel like that's where Halsey really shines. It makes so much sense as to why all of her singles, in my opinion, everything I've heard on the radio, always has this really amazing chorus. And just picking up 2 songs in, these tracks, once it gets to the chorus, it's like everything changes. Whatever you felt in the song, which, by the way, I feel like the verse delivery in this already is great. But once you get to that chorus, they're always big, they're epic, there's atmosphere, there's room for these beats to go through, and there's just a perfect like soundscape for Halsey to just deliver these vocals on. And this is like a common theme with the songs that I know from her, so I hope that continues throughout this album. So the production on that track, again, I talk about production a lot, but I feel like there is definitely an algorithm and like a perfect way to do these songs, and I feel like so far in 2 tracks we've really got that from Halsey. I love the epic choruses. That's one thing that I just am really a fan of. I like a hook, something that you're gonna be able to just sing. Like, I try to picture everything as if I was in the car. Could I be singing this at the top of my lungs? And the answer is yes. The only thing that I thought was a little bit, maybe not my favorite on this song, was that I feel like the chorus happened like 3 or 4 times, and so there wasn't a lot in the verses, and I think that even with the pre-chorus coming in, it was almost the same lyrics. So that's the only knock I really had on this song, but otherwise, if you take all that away, you just appreciate what was happening there, you got like 4 epic choruses, which I think is amazing. Okay, so the next track we're gonna listen to is New Americana. I've been hearing the word Americana in so many albums lately. Let's do it.
In tiny liquor
tiny liquor bottles. I like that. I mean, obviously I can't do it because I can't sing, but let's do it again. Tiny liquor bottles, just into the first debut full length, and I can already tell why she was going to be so successful. You can just hear it and everything coming together in just 28 seconds in the song. Hey! Okay, and a shout out to Biggie and Nirvana. I am, okay, I feel you, Halsey. Oh, shit. Yeah, I feel like just off that track alone, I could be a Halsey stan. I love the references she makes in this song. I love the bridge of this being a nod to the 90s. I love New Americana, smoking legal marijuana. I just feel like there's a lot in this song, in the lyrics alone. And of course, I'm going to talk about it because I do it every time. The production on this track, what the fuck? Like, it's perfect. Everything is just so perfect. When it goes into the chorus, when it comes out of the chorus and fades right back into that verse, I just feel like it is such a perfect structure. And that's 3 tracks in and 3 perfect instrumentals. Now, I'm very interested to see if I lose that somewhere, like if it starts to slow down a little bit. But right now, I think there is a lot of perfection happening in this album. All right, the next track we're gonna listen to is a song called Drive. Oh, that's some deep bass. I will say, and I'm never gonna compare 2 artists, that's silly, but I will say that I love the instrumental in this because it feels like something that Lana would have used on a record, and I think that's a really great thing to start with, especially with Halsey and her ability to do these different genres or at least try out different styles. I like to hear that, and the thing that I love is that Halsey's not doing some Lana impersonation here. She's doing her own vocal thing here, and it's definitely unique to her, but I just love that the instrumental is very much a Lana-inspired instrumental. Wow, that entire track, I just felt like I was listening to a Lana song, and what I mean by that is I had that sort of emotional connection that I tend to do with Lana's music, where you get lost in the instrumental. Halsey does such a great job storytelling this track. Even her vocal delivery over the majority of the verse, you sort of just get lost and vibe out to the music. I mentioned that a lot when I review Lana's music, so it makes sense on this that it becomes literally a vibe, and I think it was really cool to hear Halsey do that style. And again, there's some really great moments, especially, I think it's either right before the chorus or right after the chorus. You'll hear these harmonies happening in the back. It's probably just her vocals used twice, but it's more airy on the second one. I don't know. It's something to very much nerd out about. Okay, the next track we're going to listen to is a song called Roman Holiday. I'm not gonna lie, right away, I understand why so many people love this album, and I can definitely see how this would be such a big staple on her career. I don't know, you hear songs played, I mean, we're 5 tracks in now, but there's this style where, like, other than the fact that I thought maybe Hold Me Down was a little repetitive, I feel like there's this style that's happening overall on this album where you can't help but like the song, and I mean, I'm sure critics probably feel differently, but in my personal opinion, in the way that I enjoy to listen to music, you really can't help but like these songs. I mean, her vocal style is what it is. It's great. It always is. And just, I don't know, everything just kind of catches you in. I think I'm gonna have to buy this record. I definitely feel like it deserves to be listened to on a good turntable with some nice speakers. I really enjoy the synthesizers in this song, and I also like the little bells that are happening. I'm also interested to know if she writes all of her lyrics, because she does this really great job, and I feel like this is a lot of artists these days, but the storytelling aspect. But with Halsey, nothing really feels like it was written to be a single so far. Everything, well, maybe Hold Me Down. I kind of feel that way about Hold Me Down. But like lyrically, all of these are more like just telling you how she feels and really putting that out on the line. It doesn't feel like singles material. And actually, I feel like lyrically, some of these tracks are better than a lot of the singles that I've heard. Maybe not the most recent ones, But like the one with Youngblood and things like that, while those tracks were strong and they hit hard, I feel like her lyrical content in these songs have been a lot better. I'm always going to be a fan of some sort of a synth pop instrumental or a synth pop inspired song, which is exactly what we got here. And if you are ever curious if that's really true, don't forget I reviewed Taylor Swift's 1989 album on my other channel. Link is in the description. And the entire time was me just nerding out about how much synth pop was happening in that, because I just thought that was such a cool concept for that record. But yeah, another great song from Halsey, and I'm actually surprised. I'm not gonna lie, I'm being a little bit surprised here, because 2015, Halsey, again, I didn't really know about her, which means absolutely nothing because apparently I live under a rock. But I didn't really know a lot about her, and obviously I've heard a lot of her more recent stuff. But just to know that she was so good from her debut is really, really cool. Like, it definitely gets me more interested. She didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Obviously, I did the Room 93 EP, and I knew that. But to hear a full-length and to hear it this good, 5 tracks in, you got to know that she was going to do something big. And now look at her. She's huge. She has 37 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so that's fucking awesome. Okay, next track is Colors. Definitely my favorite vocal style from her because it's very direct. She enunciates really well, and you can actually feel the emotion coming from her. It's just like a very different sound from her. So I'm definitely going to have to look the lyrics up to that song when I am done with this video, because there was a lot going on there, and I really do want to hear just everything she was doing with the different colors and how they affected different things going on in this person's life. But I just want to talk again. I really enjoyed the vocal delivery from her here. I like, especially in the first, I think 30 seconds, 45 seconds, where she's very direct. She enunciates. It's such a very unique sound, and I feel like in parts of this, I could pick up influences from like almost like a Hayley Williams Paramore type vibe too. And that's another thing I want to touch on, is that I like that Halsey experiments with different sounds. I like that she is willing to jump out of the box a little bit. Another thing that I think is interesting, and then I'll go to the next song, I promise, is that her vocals, because she sings so well and has such a unique sound, she sometimes sounds like she has an effect on her voice, but she doesn't. Like, I've heard her sing live at like the AMAs and stuff, and she actually sings those live. I don't know if it's the high note or I don't know what it is, but it almost sounds like she is her own pitch correction. And it's so cool to hear because I'm a fan of that sound, so obviously. Okay, the next track we're gonna listen to is a song called Coming Down.
I found him in a lover, and his lips like tangerine. It's coming down, down, coming down. It's coming down.
So I already like that this has a very different sound than the rest of the album. Because it's so emotional, and because she's talking about so many different things that are, you know, like more painful, talking about finding the devil in her lover and all of these different things. I'm glad that it's not this big, bright, overproduced song that I feel like would have taken away from the emotion. And that's just the first minute, so it might still get that way, but that's what I'm feeling right now.
His head between my thighs.
His educated eyes and his head between my thighs. You get it, Halsey.
I'm such a fool for
Even in the chorus here, it's, again, not overly bright, and she's really just using this moment. There's a little bit of a harmony happening, a back vocal happening with her, just like it's like breathy kind of sound, but there's nothing overly bright here. And so she's making it very clear with the emotion on this track that she is trying to tell the story and not trying to make it a single. Again, I love this not a single thing.
the sunrise. Every single
Oh yeah, and obviously the bridge in that song, I feel like her vocals really shine there. That's probably the best part of that track in my opinion, even though I really did love the overall composition. Again, Halsey's storytelling is definitely something that I didn't expect in the album and that I didn't expect to like so much. But I do appreciate that as pop music is getting bigger and more popular again, artists are coming out with these really great lyrical abilities. I feel like in the 90s, as much as I loved 90s pop music growing up, I feel like the lyrics weren't really all that important. It's usually like something to get you hyped, unless it was a deep track, of course. But I definitely feel like on this album, we're getting a lot of lyrical content. I am thoroughly enjoying this album. That's all I want to say. Okay, the next track we're going to get into is called Haunting.
thing.
It's so interesting.
I think I'm possessed.
I was as pure as a river, but now I think I'm possessed.
That's your own mistakes in a bed at home. Diving deep.
Hey, her vocals in this song are just absolutely amazing. Just wanted to point that out.
Some things that I can't speak. Keep on.
So I definitely found my favorite track on this album. I thought it was going to be Coming Down because of the overall song structure that was happening. However, I think Haunting really showcases everything that there is to like about Halsey in one. You get the great production, you get amazing lyrics, which by the way, Halsey, I hope she writes all of her stuff because they're pretty fucking amazing. You get her vocal talent, and you get all of that in one package. And I'm at the point now where I don't know that I listen to Halsey for the lyrics, or if I go in because I know that the production of her music overall is just going to be like next level. Like there's just something happening with all these songs, and I think it's really important to be able to dive into those things. And yeah, 8 tracks in, and there's only one song that I pretty much had a little bit of criticism for. Otherwise, this album so far is really great, and it's a very easy listen too. The next track we're going to listen to is called Control.
My fortune, chest filled with diamonds, and sat alone in bed till the morning and cried. All the kids cried out, please stop, you're scaring me. Can't let this awful energy.
Well, I almost feel like that song could have been called Haunting. I really love that she went with a very dark theme, and it never left that song. It felt creepy, it felt haunting, and even though it was called Control, I feel like the beats could have switched, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like that song could have easily been called Haunting, and it would have fit perfectly. But I do enjoy the fact that she went with that very dark theme, even from the very first note that you hear on this song to the rest of it, even when you get to the choruses. And at some points, there's like this like almost scary like circus type sound happening as well. It's definitely a spooky track for sure. The next track we're going to listen to is the second to last. It's called Young God.
Oh, baby girl, you know we're gonna be legends. I'm old for a while now, drowning my thoughts out in girls, and we'll be flying through the streets. Wanna go to heaven, you should fuck me tonight.
I'm actually pretty amazed because that entire song felt like a build-up. Like from the very beginning, it just felt like this huge build-up. And even when you get to the chorus, you'd get one pretty heavy bass note, but then that would really be it. And I thought that at some point there was gonna be some like crazy drop that happened, but it actually like silenced out, and it was just Halsey for a second with her vocals. And I actually like that in the song. If you're paying attention to the instrumental that's happening in the back, it's very dark, and it's like, it's hard to explain. It's almost like industrial sounding in some points. And there's even a point in the chorus or the pre-chorus where Halsey is singing and she's being harmonized by a like super down-pitched, almost demonic sounding like backing vocal, and it's a very interesting sound. There's a lot really happening in the song, and it's kind of weird how like halfway through everything was really bright. No, I don't think this really matters, but if you look at the song structure, it goes from colors to Coming Down, and I feel like Coming Down, Haunting, Control, and Young God have all been a little bit darker than the first very bright half. If you're paying attention to this video at all, you know that I was talking about how bright everything seemed to be, and it's like the polar opposite on this other half, so it's very interesting. Let's see how it ends. The last track is called Ghost.
Searching for something. I want them wearing leather bag and let me be your taste test.
This is the type of sound that I expected this entire album to sound like. I don't know if it was based off singles or based on like my general understanding of Halsey, but this is more of the sound that I anticipated all these tracks to sound like.
My ghost, where'd you go?
Well, I know why I think that, because I know this song. This song was originally on the Room 93 EP. So that makes total sense as to why I assumed it was going to sound this way, because I know this song. So even though I love that vocal delivery, and even though I really enjoyed that on Room 93, and even though I love to hear her like almost like rap form, not really, but like the way that she is putting these verses out, everything's a lot faster, almost like a hip-hop verse. This feels like the old Halsey. And I know that's weird because I don't really know much about Halsey, but hearing her most recent songs, listening to this entire album, knowing Room 93, this album has so much depth and production and I don't know, there's just so much happening in this album overall that is very positive, but feels very mature. And this song, while lyrically it feels that way, I feel like the song structure of this, like, she's so much better than this in my opinion. Even though I enjoy the sound, I do, but on this album, I don't really like it there. Like, I'd be okay if it didn't end up on here. It was great for an EP, but for a closer, the one thing I do like is that the production on this has that little bit of a closing type sound. It's got a little bit of like a hopeful sound, and I think that's a nice way to end an album. But overall, I would have been okay if it didn't make it on this album. It could have just been 10 tracks, and then it could have been on the deluxe. But yeah, I actually think ending on Young God would have been great, especially with just how that song is. I think as it like faded out, she had her little vocal moment and it was over. That could have been the end of this album. So overall, I actually think this is a really great release from Halsey. I can't believe it's back from 2015 because these songs have aged very well. I feel like the majority of these songs could actually have been singles, which is funny because I feel like a lot of this album is sort of the anti-single because she put so much effort into the lyrics. Because the verses are structured the way they are, even though all of the choruses in the first half of this album are like singles material, I feel like something about these songs are meant to be like deep cuts, to be the deep tracks, to be the ones that didn't make it. And honestly, I don't know if any of these became singles, but I haven't heard a single one of these songs besides Ghost, only because of it being on the EP. And that's very interesting because I'm assuming this went pretty well because the fans seem to love this album so much. So I'm assuming that it did good numbers. I'm just amazed that I never heard any of these songs or singles because overall, this album is pretty perfect. It seems to be everything that you would want in this day and age for music. And I'm really glad to be able to see this side of Halsey and see more depth into her music. As you guys know, and because you've requested so much, you want me to check out Manic when it comes out, and I'm going to. It's always nice when it's an artist you haven't ever really listened to like in depth, and you get a chance to take a look at their past work leading up to a new release, because it's fun to go into a project and know a little bit about that artist and kind of see what the evolution is like, kind of see where they've gone in their career. I've done that with numerous artists now, and Halsey is just another one, and I'm really excited to be doing that because I feel like she has a lot of things that I like in an artist. She has really great lyricism. The production is on point and then some. This is some next level beats in my opinion, stuff that I would definitely love to listen to. And overall, I just feel like her structure and her experimentation with her vocals, all those things combined is something that I really like in an artist. It really makes somebody stick out to me and gives me longevity for wanting to listen to them. So overall, I think this was really great. Thank you guys so much for telling me on Instagram and Twitter so much about how I need to check out this album before Manic comes out, because you guys are right. There's a lot that I've been missing. Again, I'm amazed that there were no singles on this that I know of. I'm sure there was, but that I knew. Because I feel like there's some really great songs on here with amazing replay value. My favorite track on here was Haunting. As you guys know, I just feel like I loved everything about that. And like I said, my one criticism, I feel like Hold Me Down was a little repetitive, and I don't think Ghost really needed to be on this. Let me know your opinions in the comment section below, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like the channel, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are always in the description. Again, thank you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.